Alright, let's talk about the technique extract unique item before our accounting system. You can treat the reference of the source table as the GL account number and value as the amount associated. The same GL account can appear multiple times. Let's pick an account. Account 123 has $8 in the first entry, $98 for the third entry, and appears again for $10. Now go to the trial balance. Whenever I enter account 123, it will add up the amount. The same applies to the account 456. Simply add up these two rows. We have two methods to extract the unique reference. The first one is an old method with Excel 2016 and a new approach with Office 365. I'll talk about their pros and cons at the end of this video. For Excel 2016, let me clear this out first. We have to create a dark column here called Account Reference. It doesn't matter what color and how you call it, I'm just using the color to distinguish between data types. Usually white for computer generated, green for manual input, or whatever way that's input. If the account appears for the first time, return a 1 here. If it appears again, return 2 and so on. We only need those ones such as this 123 and 456 and these ones. We don't need this 123 as it appears twice. So we define the condition first. So just count if, as we learned before, log this first cell C11 and then C11 again, but we only log the column C but not the row 11. Comma criteria is itself C11. Then it will return the sequence like I just mentioned. Whenever the cell is 1, I have to make this 1, 2, ignore this one, and then 3, 4, 5, and so on. Equals 1, and it will return true, true, true. Let me wrap the whole thing and add 2 negatives up front. Then it returns all the ones just like this column. Then I add a sum to wrap around this whole thing. Then go inside the bracket, here the number 1, comma. Number 2 is the cell F10. Remember to log the column F but not row 10. Then you'll see here 1, 2, 2, and 3. It doesn't matter because when we look up, we only need the first 2, this one. Let me create this test column. Now let's extract the unique reference like this one. Equals index. Usually, the first place is the column containing our result, which is the reference column in the source table. Comma, Alt Enter and match. Here we need to put in the row numbers like 1, 2, 3. Comma, and then match to the count reference column. And then comma, exact match, 0. If I put 1 here, that means I match 1 with the count reference. And I should get 1, 2, 3. Close the bracket, close the index. Here, all 1, 2, 3, but if I put 2 here, I should get 4, 5, 6. Here is 4, 5, 6. The first one, not this one. Now I want this number to row, so I use rows to wrap around the first cell, J26. Remember to log J26. So J26, J26 becomes 1, J26, J27 returns 2, J26, J28 returns 3, and so on. Enter, and it will return 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. Here you see NA, right? It's up to you to keep these or not, but if you want to remove it, go back here, copy the whole thing, remove it, and then if error. Control V, paste it out. If the value is true, execute the long formula. Alt Enter if there's an error. Then I'll return a dash, close the bracket. Then you will have the unique reference like this. Now let's talk about the second method, Office 365. There's a thing called dynamic array. Here you see this script data in this cell. The cell can contain data like data 1, data 2, data 3. It can also be in the form of a list like that. Let's take a look at the formula in Office 365. Unique, and then wrap around our target column. Let me add a filter like that. Try it this way. Value more than 0. Unique. See, it's better than just unique. It's much easier in Office 365. You only need to remember, if you have no empty rows, just use unique. Here with empty rows, I can keep adding things. So with empty rows, inside the unique bracket, just add a filter for the target column. Here the cell more than 0 means it isn't blank. The filter can be varied, so it's just an example. It's not all that good for Office 365. If you copy the formula in a table and paste by formula, you'll have spell error. Let's go back to the formula cell. Only the first cell contains the formula. The whole list is inside the cell P26. That means the cell P26 has multiple values. So when you put the cell inside the table, the list values will overlap, so it returns spell. Office 365 is easy but doesn't work very well with tables. So when we use Office 365 is when we create a list, Alt-DL equals this cell, add a pound key to make the Dropbox. It's much simpler than using Excel 2016, which we need a criteria for a Dropbox. But when we need our data to be used as a table that can be used to filter information, then Excel 2016 is better. So for the next video, we'll apply this technique to generate reports.